Hey there, small town America. Get in the truck. Here we are, hometown heroes. And that we have the pleasure of hanging out this Tuesday morning with Rick and Mary. Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for such a great introduction.
Well,
Uh,
we just all got to get in the truck and have a good time.
that's right. And today we got Zach, and he is a storyteller. He's a master interviewer. He's kind of a Zach of all trades.
They exactly, and a master of none of them. That's for sure.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast today. Uh, our paths have crossed quite a bit over the last few years. I know that you've crossed paths with Mary whenever she was taking Don around.
Well,
Because
she's trying to
everybody knows,
corral Don. Yeah, you got to be pretty fast. You're going to catch Mary and Don.
and
That's for sure.
that's a hard deal to do is to corral Don.
For sure. He takes off running the second he gets out of the car. I'm like, Don, can you hold up a minute? I
Right,
haven't even
right.
got the car
He's
started."
always on the go. I hope I have that much energy at 100.
Amen.
We just got to make 100, don't we?
That's the deal. That's why I get up every morning.
That's right. Well, Zach, thank you so much for being here today. And you've had a busy last few days. We were at the Armed Forces Bowl together with Air Power Foundation, and you did a lot of great interviews there. And you're still putting some content out. But just kind of tell us about you. You grew up in Mariah Vista, and people locally know the difference between Rio Vista and Rio Vista, and years ago, back in the 70s and 80s, it was famous for the fly-in bank, the cow pasture bank. And they had a little bank in town, and they had an airstrip, a grass airstrip behind it, so people could fly in and make their deposits and go eat at the cafe. And but it's down in Johnson County, down in God's country. So
That was about the only thing that was there was the cow pasture bank in the cafe. Now I think they have a stop sign and a Dollar General.
Oh my.
So they've grown just a little bit under that one. But yeah, no, there used to be a Dick Siegel from WBAP. He would fly in every Friday in the helicopter. I mean, it was the thing to come out to the cow pasture bank out there. And yeah, that's where I grew up. Family still has a ranch out there, so I grew up in the ranch life, rodeo life, and did that for pretty much 16 years. And then I was blessed with a father who was a retired Army colonel. And so at 16, he says, "Hey, you've got athletic talent. You need to make a choice of, are you going to continue to ranch and rodeo, or are you going to go play sports? Because there's two different disciplines, and I don't care what you do, you just got to be the best at it that you got to be." And I thought, well, getting up before the chickens do, and riding horses and feeding horses, and all I have to do is go to the gym, learn my playbook, and eat right. I think I'm going to go that route. And so that's what I did for a little while until my sports career didn't take off, and then I spent 15 years traveling pretty much all over the state of Texas, running nightclubs for a while. And then that got burnt out and done with that. Ended up moving back to the mid cities, kind of working in the sports realm, and then ended up in the film industry because a lot of the guys that were shooting music videos in the nightclubs with had kind of graduated up to actual filmmakers. And so, yeah, we started here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market years ago when it was still good. It's just now starting to get back on track. But we were doing the remake of the Dallas seasons, and when it came back here to Dallas, there was a show called Chase. It's got to work with Cole Hauser when he was first getting started, before he became the famous Rip that we see on Yellowstone today. And so got into the film industry, and that's kind of where I've been in for the past 16, 17 years.
Well, you certainly have a great background. You're talking about Cole Hauser, and I in the past, I've done a gala over in Dallas, and one day I took Don with me, and Cole's on the board of directors for this organization, and we got there early, and Cole and his wife were over kind of in the corner, and they saw Don Don's hat. It's, Iwo Jima survivor. Where it seemed like Cole's great grandfather or one of his relatives was on Iwo Jima. So, man, he and Don just bonded that night. I tell you. But everywhere Don goes, he kind of overshadows the famous people. So,
well, yeah, you when you stand next to Don, you're standing to a real American hero. So he overshadows anybody. He trump cards everybody. So.
Absolutely. And so you've done video, you've done acting, you've published some books, and then there's another project about George Washington that you co-created.
Yeah, well, I ended up through my film career, I was out at Capernaum Studios for 6 years, and that's where The Chosen, we helped get The Chosen off the ground and get started, and now they're multi-million, recognized everywhere. So I was glad to see Dallas and them come to Texas and bring that project here. But we also produced a show called Washington's Armor that's now out on Amazon. The first part of it's actually going to be a trilogy. They're working on fundings for 2 and 3. And it's really kind of where I found we haven't been told history correctly. And it's kind of part of our mission of protecting our history and preserving our heritage. Just because they brought us the script of George Washington during the Braddock War when he was an aide-de-camp to General Braddock. And ended up they had an ambush out in the wilderness. He had 2 horses shot out from under him, 4 bullet holes through his coat, and walks away without a scratch. And amazing story. And I'm one of those guys, well, how did he even get in that position? And so we ended up going all the way back to finding his journal from 1754 when he was and amazing. I mean, he was shot at by an Indian guide, which our good friend JP Kwana plays our Indian guide that takes a shot at him in the film. But yeah, we cover everything up to the start of the French and Indian War in the Washington's Armory journey. So with that, then I had all these paperworks, prayer journals from George Washington, and I decided that hey, we needed to. I don't want to be the guy that just throws my notes in a drawer and walks away from it. So we published that out there. You can find that book on Amazon. It's called Prayers for the Nations. I got the 10 Commandments, got the history of prayer, and then it has George Washington's prayers. Yeah.
So that's you did a deep dive in history on that, didn't you?
Hey, the David and Tim Barton from Wall Builders over here, they were our historical advisors, and it really does make a difference when you can walk into their warehouse and actually hold artifacts from George Washington and read letters and read the actual handwriting from George Washington. And then you go to our history book and it says he was the first president. So, our history is not being told. And that's kind of our mission here with Small Town America is to go and tell the stories and tell people's stories and tell the real stories.
Yeah, a lot of people don't look at primary sources. They don't even understand what primary sources are. They just see it somewhere and they take it as gospel truth. That's just the way it is. I read it somewhere. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then, when we talk about we want to protect our history and we want to preserve our heritage. Our heritage is made up of 3 fabrics, and it's the things that you can see, feel, and touch. Was why we have to support our historical societies around town, because those guys, they know the history. And yes, we have to modify and we have to bring things up to modern day code, but how do we do it in a way that preserves the heritage and the history behind those buildings and all of that? Then it's the stories, and that can be anywhere from the old sit around the campfire, this is how grandpa told me the way he grew up. Those stories, you don't find those in history books, you don't find those there. And then the other's the culture, where we come from. So that's why we want to preserve that, and that's why I get in the truck and go tell the story. You get it from the source.
And that's what you think about the children in school and everything that a lot of things that they learn, just like World War II, Vietnam, Korea, it's just a footnote. World War II, war fought between this date and this date, Vietnam. So that's why it's so important that we go out and talk to those people and get what history is all about. Because we start talking about Vietnam, the history book's not going to say, "Oh, it was an unpopular war, and the Vietnam veterans came back to, an ungrateful nation."
Mhm.
We don't know that until we start talking to those veterans. Just like the World War II veterans, we don't know all the struggles they went through to free the whole world. So
Right.
it's
Well,
very
and
important.
yeah, and Rick, we experienced that over there at the Armed Forces Bowl. I went downstairs for the Air Power Foundation was feeding the Purple Heart recipients. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna go down there. There's probably like 20 or 30 Purple Heart recipients. There was over 100 men and women down there, Purple Heart recipients, and just to sit and hear their stories and listen to their stories and see that those are stories that you don't hear about. And I was totally shocked that we even had 100 of them all in one room.
Yeah, they do a good job at getting those Purple Heart recipients there, and then to honor them. At halftime they honored them on the field.
Yeah, it was amazing, and they stretched the whole end zone across there. And like I said, yeah, it was just amazing. You just when you sit there and you think, oh, Purple Heart, well, okay, there's one guy that did one great job, but you didn't realize how many we have out there who they don't want the credit. That's not what they signed up for. But they just went out and did their duty, and that's another thing that going into our America 250 is when you read our founding fathers, you read their journals, and they're all of them usually at the end of it are always talking about it as my duty. They know, hey, this is my duty. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I've left my home. This is why I'm over here battling. This is why I'm fighting it. This is my duty, to protect my country, my freedom.
Absolutely. Well, you got a real good indoctrination going to the Armed Forces Bowl to be around so many great patriots and so many veterans and military. That's there's nothing like that.
Right, all in one place. When I was doing my interviews, that was the one thing that I wanted to point out about. There's so many bowls going on all over the country right now, but this is the one that was totally dedicated to our military, to our armed forces, and to have every branch representative, have all from Medal of Honor, Purple Hearts to active. I mean, I didn't even get a count of how many that took roll call that morning there and enlisted themselves.
Yeah, it's a great. Uh, the Armed Forces Bowl is just a great tribute to our military and veterans, and to have it right here in Fort Worth, and it's free. So I can't wait till next year because every year it gets better. The only little hiccup was the Air Power Foundation's parachute.
Well, it went viral, so people now know. People now know, and nobody was hurt, and it led to some excitement. You got to have a little excitement out there.
And the what happened was the all veterans parachute team was coming in before the national anthem, and some of them were coming in from the north, and some of them were rounding the stadium from the south. And the one that was with air power parachute got hung up in the cables that hold the net to catch the ball. It looked like, and I was taking pictures of it, and then I said, "Oh my goodness!" And then he dropped probably 20 feet, and it was just amazing that he didn't hit somebody. Or the band had all these huge, it looked like xylophones back there. If he'd hit one of those, he would have been hurt bad because they were big old pieces of equipment.
Yeah, I mean, it was the one empty spot. He picked that spot to if he was going to do it. I don't know if he could see it from that far and go, that's the spot. But but yeah, it was an amazing deal. And I kind of missed that because I got a phone call. I had just gotten inside the gate and made it up to the suite. And I get a phone call from Gabriel Joseph, who's like, "Hey, where you at? I'm coming in on University. I'm 2 miles out." And I'm like, "Oh, well, okay, I'm right inside the gate." He goes, "No, I'm hiking in." He decided to get up that morning and hike in for Walk 22, all the way in from 30 and University. So, just amazing work that he's doing with Walk the Bridge and bringing awareness to 22 a day. And so, yeah, so then I was running out there to try to catch up with him and make sure that we got him water and stuff and got him in the gate. So I missed the whole exactly parachute incident.
But you got to see him come in, which is always a treat. I mean,
I dropped the interview this morning on social media, but we're going to be cutting an actual 30-minute episode for our YouTube channel, Small Town America. And we'll cut a whole 30 to 40-minute video of the day and what we did there with Air Power Foundation and all the fun we had with the veterans.
In the background there, you've got Small Town America, Get in the Truck. Well, tell us about Get in the Truck.
Well, Get in the Truck. Well, that's kind of a God thing. About 5 years ago, I was going through a divorce and I was beat down mentally, spiritually, physically. I left the studio, began to isolate myself away from everybody. And because I have done all of these things my entire life, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I told God, I said, "God, I have no clue. What do I do?" And he said, "Get in the truck." And that was also the same thing my dad used to yell at me when he didn't want to see me around. He's go get in the truck. And so that's what we did. And my nephew, we still have the ranch down in Rio, and we were having a hard time getting kids to sign up for FFA and get signed up in the rodeo teams and stuff like that. And my nephew calls me and he says, "Hey, we're going to start having Sunday practices out here at the ranch. Do you want to come and mentor to the kids and all that?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, let me take my camera out there and we will film the kids and we'll play it back, show them what they're doing wrong." And it ended up us telling stories. This is just how we grew up before we had video games and before we did this. And we were out, get out and get in the dirt and do this. And so I was posting those out, just trying to encourage some kids to come over and have some fun with us on Sunday afternoons. And we went from 5 or 6 neighbor kids to about 15, 20 kids. And then we had probably 50 adults because we had mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. They wanted to come out and see so it just began more and more storytelling about how they grew up. And within a month of just doing those little practices, we decided we were going to have a big one at the Sheriff's Posse there in Cleburne. We had 87 kids show up for that event. And then everybody just started asking me, what are you going to do next? Where are you going next? What's going to happen? And I'm good friends with Scott Mendez, who's 1992 or 1997 world champions, Cody Custer, who's 1992 world champion. They're bull riders. And I was like, "Hey, people are really wanting this heritage. They're wanting this Western lifestyle. Who do we know?" And next thing I know, I'm out doing cattle drives and brandings and just meeting all these guys in the Western sports world and telling stories and talking about, hey, put the video game down and get in the dirt. And that's kind of get in the truck. We don't know where we're going or who we're going to run into or who we're going to meet. So just get in the truck and let's go.
And every place you go, it's an adventure, because a lot of times, you don't have just a list of these are the people I'm going to interview. You just start looking around and, just start gravitating those people to interview. So I noticed you had one interview with Barry Corbin.
And that was that was kind of a crazy deal, another God thing. We were down when I was first getting going, and I thought, man, where are my stories and what are we going to tell? And they had the Billy the Kid Film Festival going on out in Hico. And Barry was supposed to be going down there because they had a documentary going. And I thought, well, I'm going to do a Tales of the Wild West and go down and visit with the museum down there, the Billy the Kid Museum in Hico. And so I called up Sue Land, who runs the museum down there, and said, "Hey, this is what I would like to do. Do you mind me coming down during the festival, because there's going to be a lot more traffic, people around there?" And next thing I know, she had flyers all over town. She had, I think, every store owner that had a historical building. I had to do interviews with them. Then Daniel Edwards, who has done the autobiography in the book Alias Billy the Kid, he was in town. So we turned it all out. And yeah, Barry Corbin, who was a co-author or did the voice for Billy the Kid in the autobiography book, was there. And so Barry's one of the greatest guys out there, and we've hit it off. And yeah, he's cut us a few one-liners of getting in the truck, and we had some great interviews. And anytime I can catch him in town, we'll definitely promote Barry and what he's doing in his career.
Yeah, and he's a local guy, plus he's a veteran. He was in the Marines.
Yes.
And I've talked to him and his wife several times and invited him to roll call, because I mean, he's a great actor. People don't realize that he's been in hundreds of movies, and then he's on Tulsa King and things like that. So
yeah, he's got some great stories, and he actually has Nights with Barry Corbin. And if you ever get a chance to go out and where he just tells his stories, he actually started out doing Shakespeare in theater. So when he breaks into Hamlet and all of that, you're just blown away, because you just think of him as this legendary West. He's the voice of the West, and to hear him jump up there and start doing Shakespeare, it's just like, what? So.
He does such a great job too as Shakespeare. And you're right. All of a sudden you think, where did that come from?
Yeah. But that's where he got his start, was doing theater and Shakespeare, and he's amazing and does so much for the community and the Western lifestyle. So
it would be great if we could get him to come be our speaker one month for sure.
I bet we can. Our good friend Larry O'Neill kind of can get a hold of him and get him down there, because one time Larry had him come down there to the museum, and Dusty and Tyler went down there to film an interview with him. So he's a really good guy.
And just like Don, you better slow him down. I think he's 84. He's 84 and still riding horses and doing cattle drives down at the 4.6s. So he's a guy that's on the move also. So you got to catch him.
Yeah, but that's what keeps him going, and that's what anytime that somebody says to Don, well, how do you keep going like this for so long? And he said, you keep moving. When you quit moving, you quit moving. So get up and get moving.
Yeah.
Whenever I was I've told this story before, but when I was in the Army out at Fort Ord, I worked in the hospital there, and I worked on a surgical floor, and there was this old surgeon, and his whole deal was, as soon as people got out of surgery, they got up and started walking, and he'd tell those people, he said, what happens to a beached whale? They die. And out there in Monterey, every month or two on the news, there'd be a story about a beached whale, and they die. So you got to keep that forward motion going.
Right. And that's, you say I'm a jack of all trades. That's why, because I'm always getting in the truck, and that's the thing is I'm not a master at none of this, and I get such a thrill out of just going and hearing these people's stories and learning something new from everybody. So,
and you do a remarkable job. Just with those little short clips, 2 minutes, and you've got we really know each other well once you have asked a few questions.
Yeah, and I think that's been, I can contribute that to my background is, and I was telling you this the other day, Rick, we do stuff every day, just what we do, and we don't think it's exciting anymore. And when you go out there and you start running across these people that this has been their passion, this is why they started doing it, and then they just do it every day, well, it doesn't get exciting anymore. And so then when you look at that and go, man, you really do some cool stuff, you really do some exciting stuff, and we get them to start telling that story, and we start trying to kind of point out, hey, tell us a little bit about this, what's exciting. you see that sparkle get back in their eye, and you see that passion get back in their eye. And, you know, that's my reward at the end of the day, is when you say, hey, I just bred a new breath for them, and got them going again and got that passion back.
And sometimes for you, you know, you get burned out. Mary gets burned out. I get burned out. But every once in a while, there'll be something that kind of gives you a hard reset. And sometimes it's nothing real big. I was visiting a family, and the children and a friend of mine, and the lady, she was a widow, and her husband used to come to roll call before he passed away. And so I was in their home, and I was walking out the door, and right there by the door was one of the pictures I took at roll call. And whenever he died, his obituary had one of my pictures. Not that I want anybody to die to be able to see my pictures, but it said, okay, that's why you do it.
Right.
You know?
Right. And those are the stories that I don't tell. I talk with business people and people, you know, trying to get sponsors. It costs time and money to travel and do all that. And they're always like, well, what's the return on investment? And the stories that I don't tell is, you know, when you have a grandfather that comes up to you at a youth event and says, hey, you know, I had 6 grandkids. They all started playing sports, but they saw your video, and here we are at the world finals, fixing to get on a calf and compete for a world championship riding a calf. Or you get a message from a young lady who ended up moving to town because her parents had passed away. She doesn't have no friends. She doesn't have no family. She's real shy. But because she sees me going out to all of these events, she sees me talking to these organizations or these fields, she's able to plug into one of these organizations and thanks you for, you know, getting her out of her shell and getting her to meet people in town. And so then it's just like, well, I guess I need to keep going. because it is affecting somebody's life.
And in Mary's world, you know, being so involved with so many veterans, especially the World War II veterans and the Vietnam veterans, you get that reset quite a bit. You know, I know there's times when you think, oh, I'm so tired. I don't know why I keep doing this. And then you'll see those smiles on their faces. Or, you know, the reality is with our veteran community, we lose veterans almost every week or so. But then to hear the families saying, roll call changed our loved one's life because it gave him some place to go to, or gave her some place to go to, and they look forward to that like nothing else, you know, because a lot of them are kind of isolated, stuck at home. They get where they can't drive anymore, but roll call gives them that spark. Yeah. And gives them that desire to be with people and to tell their stories to other people.
Yeah. And it gives us a spark back, to your point, Zach. You know, there you'll go through the month, and it's, you know, all the work and getting up to it and getting to the luncheon. And then when you have the luncheon, that's when you go, okay, this is why I do all this work. Because, you know, a lot of organizations, and I say this a lot, Rick hears me say it, a lot of organizations put on one big event a year, right? So they'll have a gala or a benefit of some sort, and they'll have, you know, 300, 400, 500 people, and they work all year putting this thing together. Well, we do a luncheon for veterans for free, and it's 450 people every single month. You have to have the volunteers to get it done. We don't have a paid person on the staff. No board member gets paid. Nobody gets paid. And you have to get all this stuff, and you have to do it every single month. And so sometimes as you get close to the luncheon, you're starting to feel a little bit of, oh my goodness, I'm just exhausted. I'm wore out. And then you have the lunch, and it's at that luncheon that you go, okay, this is why I do all this stuff all month.
Right.
So it is a spark.
Yeah. And those are the stories that I don't tell, is how we do really impact people's lives just by doing what we do. You coming on here and being hometown heroes and just the people here in your backyard that you feature each week is somebody new. That it only takes one. I always tell people it only takes one person. It only takes one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we little things like we have people will send out, we'll ask our members to send out birthday cards to anybody who's 80 or over. And I had one of the people that had his birthday already this month send me an email and just say how grateful he was. This was the first year he was part of that 80 plus group. And how many cards he got and how much it meant to him that so many people were willing to put that stamp on a card and put it in the mail for him to go out and bring in all of these cards. Most of the vets tell us they've never had so many birthday cards. And it's one little thing. We send out a list, people send cards, and this individual, this veteran gets these cards, and it just makes their whole day. You know, it's special. It's those little things that we do.
And, you know, just birthday cards to veterans is so special. And whenever they hit 100, a lot of times they get a lot of cards. So just remember, whenever you see those things pop up on social media about send this old veteran or this elderly person a card, send them a card, you know, put a smile on their face.
Yep. Al Chatwin coming up. January 17th. Right. You can find the information on our website and on our Facebook page for where to send birthday cards for Al. He'll be 100 on January 17th, World War II, Navy, served in Guam.
He still gets around pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. He just went to Pearl Harbor in December. So, you know, that was like his 3rd or 4th year, I think. And he's been to Normandy, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. So it's so incredible to be there and celebrate these special milestones with these guys.
Well, Zach, this year, 2026, you've got some special projects you're working on, and tell us what you have on your calendar for this year.
Well, we're always developing. You never know from week to week where we're going to be. But we are celebrating America 250. So we're going to be doing that all year long. And there's so many events going on. I know Air Power Foundation has got several events that Cameron emailed me the other day and she's like, hey, I've got all kinds of events that'll keep you busy. But then we're doing the Patriot Tour. And then all of our Western sports, their seasons will be kicking off here. In fact, we got the Fort Worth Stock Show that's coming up pretty soon. I think we got a big military night out there. So people haven't gotten their tickets or whatever, they need to probably go over and check out the dates for military night and come on out to the Fort Worth Stock Show. We're just out there. We've got some deals. I actually have some amazing stories that we're going to try to capture this year. Just some of the guys that I met there at the Armed Forces Bowls to tell their stories. We also have we have a hero coming home from the Korean War. We're going to find out more details. He was found December the 4th, so we're waiting on the details and to get him home. But we have one coming home, and we're going to try to be there and capture his story and tell his story of his return.
And those that return like that, it's just it's a very special deal. Back right when COVID happened, there was a fella and his family's from Weatherford, and he had been a pilot in World War II, got shot down in the mountains of France. And there's a person, a guy in France, and he goes and tries to find these wreckage, the wreckage of these aircraft. And a couple of years before that, he had found it. They'd found the body, did the DNA, and he was going to be on his way home, and they were going to have a little ceremony in Weatherford. And I was going to arrange to have him, it was the same day as roll call, going to have them arranged they were going to bury him at the National Cemetery. And so I wanted them to come by and do a drive-by at roll call, have everybody come out. Well, COVID came, and then the family, everything changed. So they ended up doing all that in Houston instead of Fort Worth and Weatherford. So it would have been great to honor that World War II veteran. And, you know, in Fort Worth, I've been talking with the city of Fort Worth and Joaquin, because we have a hometown hero that his name is very famous. We had an Air Force base named after him, and that's Horace Carswell. Born on the north side, went to TCU, got shot down, saved most of his crew, sunk some ships. And I've been trying to get us to honor Horace on his birthday in July. And it looks like that this year, Joaquin in the city of Fort Worth and some things they're doing at TCU, we may get that to happen where we can actually go out to his gravesite and just have a little ceremony to say, hey, you know, we want to honor this Medal of Honor recipient that's one of our hometown heroes. So it's just something that we need to do in honoring our heroes. And, you know, roll call, we're good at honoring our heroes, and all these other organizations, the Air Power Foundation, the Fort Worth Air Power Council, Holidays and Heroes, and Freedom Mobility, all honor our heroes. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, and you know, that was one of the great things about being down there at the Veteran Village there at the Armed Forces Bowl, and you see all of these organizations, and that's, as I was telling those guys, there's so many great organizations out there, but everybody's got their own individual niche that they do, and so it's great to have that, because a lot of times I think we have our veterans out there, and you know, hey, here's a veteran that's having a problem, and you just send them down to the VA and hope they get taken care of. But to actually have an organization to go, oh, hey, he's got financial problems, this guy's got PTSD, you know, let me put you in a place that's an organization that can actually help you. And that's, you know, the great thing what y'all are doing here at Hometown Heroes, of pointing out those organizations that are doing that. You know, Rick, you introduced me to those guys at Freedom Mobility, and those are just amazing. The amazing work that they're doing over there is just unbelievable. And to talk with those guys and not only see the vehicle, I mean, everybody who walked past the vehicle wanted one of the vehicles. I wanted one of those vehicles for myself, but then when you actually get to meet the veterans there and see their disabilities and see how they've adapted those vehicles for those guys specific, it's just amazing work that they're doing.
And just then to start hearing their stories and find out about them, you know, just amazing, because we see them and they look like they're doing pretty well. They have some certainly mobility issues and physical limitations, but we don't think about all the mental anguish, all the pain and all agony they went through just to get to the place where they can be out there so they can go and enjoy life. So.
Yeah, and you know, I heard a lot just talking with the veterans there. They talked about the scars you don't see. You heard that phrase thrown around a lot over there. It's the scars that you don't see, and it really makes you stop and think, wow, you know, this guy, he smiles and shaking hands here today, but he's probably got some scars that we're not seeing, and you know, do we need to take another little time to give him a hug and say, hey, you're not alone,
because you don't know what's going on inside. And you know, that's at 22 a day that take their life. You know, they're just people that you in everyday life that you just don't know what's going on. I had a dear friend that saw him every week at Sunday school and didn't have a clue anything was wrong. And one day they called and said he ended his life, you know, and you think, why didn't we see any signs?
Yeah. Well, like I said, that phrase kept getting thrown around the other day, and it just really makes you kind of stop and think, maybe I do need to take a deeper look at those. And again, too, having those organizations that you can plug these guys into that's actually going to help. It's one thing to send them down to the VA and say, hey, you know, we're going to get you a prescription and you'll be good to go, when we actually need to put you out to one of the retreat centers, or we need to put you out into one of these other organizations that's going to have a bond. A lot of these guys, it's just having that bond, having a place to tell and vent that story.
Right. But what they miss is that being with their brothers. They're used to that camaraderie. And we too often want to throw a pill at something thinking it's going to fix it, and it never fixes it. What fixes it is connection.
And sometimes that connection's just not so much verbal, but just being there. I worked with Heroes on the Water, taking veterans and first responders kayak fishing. And sometimes we have people with severe post-traumatic syndrome, and I mean, they might not utter a word while they're there, but you get them in the kayak out on the water, and it brings a big peace to them. And then it's not long before, it might be two or three trips, that they start opening up and they start bonding with people. But there's just something therapeutic about being outdoors, especially on the water.
Right. And that's one of the things we were talking with Bonnie Jill, who's now moved from doing the service dogs to the horse therapy. And these organizations that are doing the horse therapy with the veterans, those are amazing. I've been out there and worked with some of those guys, and it's amazing to watch a horse and a veteran. It's like they know each other and they bond each other, and it's amazing to see the change from the time that they get there to an hour of just riding a horse, of their whole demeanor changes.
And sometimes it's not the horses, but just donkeys. Just a month or two ago, we had one of our guests, and they have donkey therapy, and donkeys are completely different from horses. And we had a good lesson, and they're located down in Granbury, and it might be a trip you need to go on sometime, Zach, to go down there and kind of interview the donkey, the donkey therapy.
We love to tell stories. We'll tell stories.
So you still haven't heard back from the stock show.
We're waiting on that. There's so much going on over there. I usually, like the week before, get my media passes from them. It's like, here you go, we got you. So I know there's a whole much going on over there. They newly remodeled a lot of stuff that's going on there. Fort Worth is growing. Is growing.
It's busting at the seams.
Yes. But the great thing that I love about Fort Worth is we're still keeping it historic. We got the historical stockyards. We have the cultural district. We have a little bit of everything for everybody here.
And, the stock show's coming up, and we're going to, on the February the 2nd, is it, Mary?
Yes.
Monday.
Yes.
We'd surely like to have you down there, Zach, because it's the military day. You said you were going to be there that night, but we have a great expo that morning. Our friend Manny Ramirez, County Commissioner, he sponsors that. We have hundreds of veterans come through and have all the organizations that service veterans.
Yeah, everything you can imagine. I mean, I think the first year they did it, Rick, there was probably maybe 20 veteran service organizations. And I think last year there were, probably 100. And it was crazy. And this year, the speaker will be Doc Ballard. So, Medal of Honor recipient, Vietnam. And it's just going to be a really great time to be there. So yeah, Rick and I will be out there. We'll have Don Graves will be out there. Yep.
Hey, as long as we got funnel cake and corn dogs, count me in.
Yep. And if you register and you get there, you get a ticket for veterans, get a free meal. So
hey, see, there we go. There we go. What a deal.
Yeah. This year there's free parking. So
yeah. No, let's go. Let's tell the stories. Let's make it happen.
We could certainly pile a lot of people on your calendar to talk to, but
yeah, what I was thinking was what we could do, Rick, is people start showing up before we don't let them in the door anymore for the luncheon. That starts at 11:30. We have to leave the doors locked until 9:45 so we can finish setup and get all the volunteers in. but they're lining up outside. They are used to coming earlier and earlier, which is why we had to give them a set time that we would unlock the doors, because they were starting to show up at 8:30 in the morning for an 11:30 lunch so they could hang out with their buddies. So what we could do is have Zach upstairs, and we could just, those veterans that get there early before the lunch, they could go up there and speak with Zach. He could put up his sign back there.
We can set something up and let them tell their stories and just, just talk about how great it is to be there and to be honored. That's one of the things that why I was originally going to do a podcast, just kind of like what we're doing right now, but to try to get the guest and sit down and do all of that. That's a lot of work, Rick. That's a lot of work. I have to hand it to you to put this all together each week. And I just found that it's more exciting to just pick an event and go to that event and catch these people on the spot in the passion and catch the excitement. It also helps the event promoters that's putting on the event, because a lot of people don't realize how much fun. And when I started doing this, we were just coming out of COVID. So everybody was still in that isolated quarantine phase. And so the people look at and go, oh, wow, y'all are actually getting out and having a good time. Yeah, get out of the house and come on, take your mask off and let's go. So, and yeah, get out there and tell those stories and show the event and show what's going on. And that's kind of been my deal. So people ask me, say, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, it's not really a podcast. It's kind of a vlog show. I just tell stories. I go and tell stories.
Yeah. Well, after COVID, we were only a few months into it when I think we got into the second or third month and we had to cancel a luncheon. And I had so many of our veterans reaching out to me saying, I got to get out of the house. I got to get out of the house. That we said, okay, well, there's restaurants now that will let you take a group of 10. So we would pick a restaurant and we would tell them, first 10 to sign up, and it would fill up real fast when you can only do 10. And we take 10 people at a time to restaurants so that they could get out of the house and be around other people. And then it didn't take long, like Brother Bob in August of 2020, we started our luncheons again, because Brother Bob at the church where he hosts us said, people are not meant to be alone. People need to be together and they need fellowship, and you need to bring them back. And so we did. And we really never had any outbreaks or anything. People knew that if they didn't feel good, they stayed home. And, it was just important to your point. You had to get out of the house and you had to have that human connection.
Absolutely. We've got some of our listeners, and John, he's somebody we know well from the 99% radio show.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about him at our board meeting last night.
And,
ride with the 99. We ride with the 99 over there. Glad to have them on.
He said, get in the truck. And then we were talking about Gabriel a while ago. He said, ha ha, Gabriel Joseph always walks. And then Gabriel, let's see, there's Air Power Foundation saying, hi, Zach.
Hey.
And then Gabriel said, definitely what I love about your show. It's great. I'm
beginning to wonder if Gabriel even owns a vehicle.
I don't know. But, we were all very concerned back in July whenever the Air Power Foundation was having the Patriot Roundup out on the north side, because he was going to walk 22 miles. He started over in Grand Prairie. And, this was like the heat of the summer.
It was the hottest day of the summer. I think it was like 110 or something.
He doesn't wear tennis shoes and some shorts and a little T-shirt. He's got full ruck gear on and a coat. It looks like he's going up in the Arctic Circle or something. And he was just like, walking, and we had people meeting him along the way. And finally that afternoon, I don't know how many miles he'd done it, but they said, hey, you got to get in the car, let us take you, a few miles from there, because you're going to die. And we didn't want to have that on our plate. So
amazing deal. And if you listen to that interview today, he is now worldwide and adding more walks with people all over the world right now that are getting behind his movement in the Walk the Bridge Foundation and what they're doing over there. So amazing work that he's doing.
And Cameron said, I made Gabriel get in my car and stop rucking because I was so scared for him. We always have his six. So Michelle Billingsley saying hi. So and then we got Terry Burgess. You got a new fan, Zach.
All right, come on. Get in the truck. Come check us out.
Now, Terry Burgess, he's a Gold Star dad. His son, Brian Burgess, was killed in action. And that's somebody that you need to sit down with, and some of these other Gold Star parents, and we'll get you kind of lined up with them so you can tell their children's stories, because that's what's so important about the parents that lose children, is not so much about them, but to honor their children and make sure that their children never are forgotten. So
right, and I always tell people, I think those are two words that we throw around all the time, is always remember or never forget, but we only do it twice a year on a holiday, when it's every day. It affects it every day.
Absolutely. Our friend Bill Henry, he's a character.
Yes, he is.
And then Gabriel said, oh, Brother Terry, great to hear from you. They'd walked in the Bataan. Oh, I guess they're going to go to the Bataan Ruck in 2026. Terry does that every year. And so that's something I just like to look at the pictures. I don't want to ever go there to try to do that ruck. So a lot of amazing people out there.
Yeah. I haven't ran since 97. So, and people, I say that a lot. And people, I'm like, no, that's the last time I physically had to, on a schedule, run, and I haven't since. So if anything ever happens, I'm just I'll be the first to go down. So I'm not planning on running.
You talk about that. Mary, she's out there every day running and walking and doing all this exercise. But I used to run a lot, and then one day I didn't go, and then the next day I didn't go. It's probably been 20 years since I went, so I know what you're talking about.
Right. Well, and that's why that's why I admire what Gabriel's doing and what all these guys that are doing. You got Jeffrey Gray over in Rockwall that walks all the time. Those guys, that's what they love to do, and it's honoring our veterans, honoring those that have fallen. And man, hats off to those guys. I love telling their stories.
And I
can't ruck because I have that bulging disc. If I could, I would, but you gotta. If I don't walk if I don't get out and get some exercise every day in fresh air, I just don't even feel. I can't. I just can't do it. I have to.
You won't be able to stay up with Dawn. You won't be able to stay up with Dawn if you don't.
And I won't be able to sleep. Yeah, I do have to keep going. Don told me that up until a couple of years ago, out in his neighborhood up there in Keller, they have, as a lot of the communities now have, they have little walking paths. And there's one near his house. So he would go walk that every single day. And then here recently, since he's been using the walker, when the weather's decent, he can actually walk around his block where he lives with his daughter. He can walk around the block and never get off the sidewalk. So he has a walker, and when the weather's decent, he'll go do that. And, Ernie LaCroix did that for, actually was last time he did the Cowtown
101.
Yeah, 101.
Well, I know at the celebrity softball game that you couldn't keep up with Don out there on the field. He was gone everywhere. You couldn't stay up with him.
He's easy to lose sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you want to lose him, but no, God bless him. I'm having lunch with him tomorrow. So
just ask Lorna. Lorna, one time she brought him to an event, and they were having something at one of the bars in the stockyard. And all of a sudden, I started looking around and couldn't find Don. And she'd brought him there, so she's kind of responsible. And they had to go all up and down East and West Exchange to try to find him. And they finally found him. But
there's usually a crowd of people around him. You look for the crowd of people, and you'll find Don right in the middle.
And a crowd of women, a lot of women.
Oh, Mary.
He likes to be around the women.
He does indeed. Well, Cameron, she said,
I wasn't going to go there. I wasn't going to go there, but if Mary's going to bring that up, I will say at the celebrity softball game, I go in, Don, he's that walker he can sit in.
Yeah.
And so all the guys would come in, he would just sit there in Don fashion, shake your hand and all that. Every lady that would walk in, he would spring up out of that. I thought, man, I didn't get a spring up and a hug when I walked in the door. Man.
Yeah, and every picture he's got his arms wrapped around him. Yeah.
I've got, I've got probably maybe 2,000 pictures of Don with women.
Yeah, but Rick, you do that on purpose. You egg him on.
But he always he said, please don't post that because my daughters will get upset.
Like I said, I hope I have half the energy he does at 100. Amazing man.
Cameron with the Air Power Foundation say, stay tuned for more of the Air Power Foundation's Walk to Fight Veterans Suicide Initiative this June. Exciting things coming, and that Gabriel is on the committee for the event, which he should be because he's done a lot of walking. And then she says, thank you for all you do for the Air Power, Zach. We're grateful for your partnership, friendship, lead the way, and get in the truck. Yeah,
I actually my deal. I ran across them at the National Day of the Cowboy down in the stockyards. They had their royalty sweethearts with them. And I thought, man, what an organization there. These girls really doesn't have a rodeo team, but they've got their sweetheart royalty, and started telling the story and hearing their story. And man, the work that they do over there is just amazing. And to be a friend and a partner with those guys, I just love them to death.
They're a great organization. You've got a website, don't you? Smalltown.america.org?
You can go to smalltown-america.org, and you can find all of that good stuff over there. Kind of what we're doing. We took it down, and we're in a rebuild stage on it. I just got too much stuff. I realized that 4 years of going and doing, it's like, man, I need to kind of beef up some stuff. And what we've kind of changed. We're over on the Faith Channel, which is a free streaming service of faith and family content. It's absolutely free over there. We have season 1. We have 10 episodes of some of our earlier stuff that we got out there. I think our Barry Corbin Tales of the Wild West is out on season 1 over there. So you just go to the Faith Channel, download the app, and find Small Town America over there. We call it Riding on Faith, and buckle up over there. So buckle up. You just don't know what you're going to run into or see. And
I'm going to try to play this trailer, and let's see if I can do this. I think I can do it. Let's see if I can do it. And this is about that channel.
There you go. Yeah.
In the heartland of America, there's a spirit that still runs deep, a legacy built on faith, a love for country, and the unbreakable bond of family. It's a way of life some have forgotten, but many still hold dear. Small Town America. We're on a mission to preserve that Western lifestyle, to meet the people and see the places that inspire, motivate, and educate us all. We are taking the back roads of rural America because out here, God, country, and family are the foundation. This is where riding on faith is a daily trail. Small Town America, buckle up and join the journey. Get in the truck. It is time to ride on faith.
Get in the truck.
There you go. Great trick.
Did it worked?
Hey, it worked on my end. I don't know if our viewers saw it, but I got to see it. So no, and again too, that's a God thing. At the celebrity softball game, the producers that are putting on the Faith Channel were there also, and saw what I was doing out on the field and doing the interviews, and we got to talking. I have a YouTube channel. And that was on Saturday. On Monday morning, I get a call from them. They're like, we love your content. We want it on our channel. What can we do? I said, well, let me create you a show. And so that's what we're doing. We're currently working on season 2. So a lot of our stuff that we've done this past year, Patriot Roundup, Skyball, and then some of our adventures that we've been on, we're going to edit, re-edit, and recut, and put on the Faith Channel over there. And then we're working on America 250, the Patriot Tour. And so we're going to create a whole nother series of what we're doing all year long to celebrate Americans, celebrate our veterans. So we're going to have that over on the Faith Channel. And the great thing, it's absolutely free. So free to go over there, download it, and there's all kinds of other great content from the thing that I like about what they're doing there is there's so many talented filmmakers and artists out there that they don't have the budgets to do big films, so they're doing short films, and there's no market for a short film. They're allowing them a platform to showcase their work and showcase their stuff that we do. That's one of the reasons that we'd like to feature some of our local musicians and artists. The whole reason that I was going to the Armed Forces Bowl was to actually interview Dwayne Terry, who does the American Soldier tribute to Toby Keith, and man, amazing that he has picked up Toby Keith's torch and is now playing all the USO shows and honoring our troops. And that I was going there to take care of his story anyway. And then that's when Cameron and Air Power Foundation says, "Hey, we've got this and we got that." And so it just started snowballing from there on what we were doing. But yeah, there's so many great artists that we have right here in our backyard that, because they don't have enough Instagram followers, the record labels don't even look at. And so I like to feature those guys too and tell their stories.
Nice.
We talked the other day about the Texas Country Music Association, and I want to get you hooked up with Linda Wilson. She's the owner of that, and have the award ceremony every year here at Billy Bob's. But I think you'd be a good fit for that organization. I hate to just pile stuff on you, but you do such a great job. But I think that you'd really enjoy being part of that Texas Country Music Association. So
yeah,
we'll work on that today. So
yeah, any of that to tell the story. Just here at New Year's, I ran into Garrett Bradford over here for a New Year's Eve party. And this guy who was trimming trees for Taylor Sheraton out at the ranch ends up finding out that he's a singer and a songwriter, and now I think he's all in the Yellowstone universe with his music, writing songs for Yellowstone and Landman and all those things. It's a great way to just sit here and say, "Hey, we've got talent." Just because they don't have this big huge following on Instagram doesn't mean that they're not any good. We have so much great talent right here in our own backyard.
A lot of them play right around the west side of Fort Worth, down 7th Street area, but out there on the traffic circle at the Magnolia Motor Lounge. And I saw where Josh Weathers is going to have 2 dates down there. I think the 16th and 17th. So a lot of great musicians.
Yeah, right on backyard. And so
that's right.
Great to always try to feature them and tell their stories, because a lot of those guys, they'll play your birthday party for free if they just love to play.
Maybe Josh will come and play your birthday party.
I'm not speaking for any artists, so I don't want anybody to come back and say, "Well, Zach said you play it for free." No. But a lot of them, their passion for music and passion for their art and their craft, they just want to get out there and be showcased and seen.
Well, Zach, our time's up, and
we've done this for an hour, Rick. Whew.
Yeah, it goes by fast.
Yeah.
But we are so honored that you were with us today, and we got to know you a little bit better and kind of share you with our audience, because you're doing a great job at storytelling. You're doing a great job at honoring our patriots and keeping the small town things alive. And really, you're a great patriot because you honor our country, our flag, and everything that's good about America. So we just love you and are excited for you and the things that you're involved in, and looking forward to a lot of content from you in 2026.
Well, apparently you've got a list, and Air Power finally, everybody has a list for me. Hey, we're ready to go. Just get in the truck, have a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. I love everything that you're doing here at Hometown Heroes. Like I said, we have so many talented individuals right in our own backyard, and thank you for coming on each week and showcasing those guys.
Yeah, and Cameron said that you're coming to Fort Hood, so Mary and I have both been on that trip, and it's a good trip. So you'll enjoy it.
Well, she said there was can I say live ammo and not get you booted off? live ammo demonstration. Actually, I think it's the mounted the mounted guys. They
First Cav.
Yeah, they do a demo. And that's, and it's such amazing. We didn't get them at Skyball because of the shutdown, but those are very few. There's very few left of our mounted color guards that are out.
And they were on their way out. I mean, they just got a reprieve like the 30th of December that said, hey, we're going to keep y'all, because they were going to deactivate it. They were at the Rose Bowl, but they were going to deactivate it and only have just the mounted patrol at Fort Sam to do funerals, and at Arlington National Cemetery. But I think they let Fort Riley and Fort Hood keep their mounted or the horse detachments. So
right,
I'm glad.
That's part of our mission: protect our history and preserve our heritage. That is part of it. And it's a great part of it. That's the other deal is don't if you're going to take something away, don't take away a good part of our history and our heritage and our honoring.
That's right.
So much for those guys.
Well, Zach, thank you so much. We hope to see you soon at the stock show and maybe at roll call. So
hey, anytime, Rick, get in the truck and have some fun with us.
We will. Let's talk to you later.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye. Oh, Mary, that was certainly interesting.
Yeah, I had never heard of that before. So that is really cool. That is, it's neat that he goes and just no agenda, no, this is who I'm going to talk to or anything like that. Just, I'm going to go and I'm going to see who I see and let's hear some stories. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Gabriel said, God bless y'all. So we've got roll call coming up the 23rd.
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 And RSVP is open on Monday, the 12th. So get an email, click the link, do it that day. And if you don't get the email for some reason, or you're not one of our attendees, so we don't have your information and you want to come, you can just go to our website at the roll-call.org, and that link will be live at 9 a.m. on Monday, the 12th.
Okay. And it's roll-call.org. So be there or be square.
Yep.
And every month I hear so many people, oh, I wanted to go, but the reservations were already taken. So
yeah, fills up fast. It's amazing. You can fill up 500 seats in less than 12 hours.
The hottest ticket in town.
Yep. So it's a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to it. Been a long time between the early December lunch because of holidays to then getting back on track to the normal fourth Friday in January. So we have a long break there.
Yeah. And so many people miss that,
Right.
so.
Yep.
Then we talked already about the stock show. We've got that coming up, and that'll be a good event, an all day event. So
Yes.
hopefully they'll have some rodeo tickets available. They did last year. So the rodeo tickets this year went pretty fast. So.
Yeah. I went the Tuesday after they opened up, and I went at 11 in the morning and they were already gone.
Yep. And I've been in talks with them about coming back to do some pictures. So it's a long haul, but it's a fun haul.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Mary, thank you for being here today. And it's good to have Zach here and Small Town America. And we look forward to seeing him a lot more.
Absolutely.
And certainly following him on social media because he does a great job.
Yep.
So for everybody that was part of this, we just are honored that you were watching today and hope that you'll be back next week for Home